how corporate treasurers are handling their foreign exchange transactions and hedging has become a topic of hot discussion because there's a lot of volatility in the currency markets, and there's a real focus on risk management, as you all know. We're going to talk about how treasurers are actually doing that, some of the strategies involved. My guest is Udi Sella, who's the Vice President of Client Solutions at Numerix. Udi, thanks for coming by and talking to us about that. My first question is, some of the challenges that corporate treasurers are facing. They're always facing challenges. I'm wondering, are there any kind of new challenges that have sort of come to the forefront given the macro environment, the volatility in the currencies that we're seeing, and maybe some of the emerging markets that are out there? Can you tell us about maybe some of the new challenges that these folks are facing?
Right, so let's start with indeed the new challenges. So we know there's a big focus now on risk management.
Right.
What does it mean? What does it imply to us? So first of all, we know that now banks are applying CVA, right?
Mm-hmm.
Credit value adjustment. This has implications on the prices that corporate treasurers would receive when asking for options.
Right.
So people are now looking for tools for price discovery to find out what is the charge which is applied. That's one thing.
Sure.
We see more margining. So one needs to know how much margins to set aside. Now, interestingly, when I traded, banks applied margins on the corporates they traded with. Mm-hmm. Today, in many cases, corporates are rated higher than
the banks, right?
Right, so now it's a two-way street.
Okay.
So these are, I would say, the two main challenges that are new. And then we have, of course, the classical, indeed the volatility, the fact that different markets behave differently, are decoupled.
Right.
Take Colombia, for instance, the appreciation in the Colombian peso and so forth.
Okay.
So that adds up.
Yeah, absolutely. So what are then, from that piece of it, what are some of the strategies that these folks are using and can use to address these challenges?
So as always, we have a palette of strategies out there. It could be just buying options, could be buying vanilla options, buying more exotic options, and so forth. If I don't have a hedging budget, I would probably need to buy and sell options in order to be at the zero cost premium.
Right.
I can apply strategies which are multi-asset. So if I have if I'm an American company with exposures to multi-markets, let's take Microsoft, take Apple, etc., with receivables in many currencies, I may want to use basket options.
Okay, sure.
Many more examples.
Okay.
The market is very rich.
Right. So, given the environment that we're in today, are there strategies that are more appropriate or more effective in this kind of marketplace where given the volatility and the focus on risk management and perhaps this kind of globalization that we're talking about with multi-asset classes, multi-currencies, that sort of thing?
I would say yes. And that's for two main reasons. One is to reduce the hedging cost because everyone is so cost-minded,
right? And
working capital is so important for corporates today.
Absolutely.
So I mentioned basket options. That's a great way to hedge a multi-currency exposure.
Okay.
You can also use exotic options in a very intelligent way. So let's take an example. You have an exposure. An American company needs to convert, let's say, euros into dollars. You can just buy a put euro option, a vanilla option, or you can buy a put euro option with a knockout on the upside and just make the cost cheaper.
Right.
And then hedge. It just requires more dynamic hedging, which is fair enough.
Right. So there are, there are ways to kind of, make it sort of more complex, but it gets you, that cost reduction and getting the hedging piece of it together. So I think those are probably two important components of this whole idea of FX hedging and currency control and that sort of thing. So, and my final question is, you guys at Numerix, where do you sit in this kind of equation, and what are you guys doing in that marketplace to kind of help these treasurers kind of identify the right strategies, implement them, or what are you guys doing here?
So you just mentioned the challenges of risk management and pricing, and this is basically what we do in a nutshell. So the first thing is you need to know how to price these strategies properly. You need to be able to negotiate with the banks to find what is the adequate entry price to make sure that the price you receive is correct.
Right.
You need to perform valuations for your financial reports. Right. What is the value of my strategies?
Right.
Then all the stakeholders today you need to disclose very clearly your exposures. So if, for instance, you open the Google reports, you will see that they put scenario analysis, how their hedges perform and fluctuations of plus and minus 20% fluctuations, right? So, and then we mentioned margining and CVA. this is basically what Numerix does.
Okay, very good. Well, I think we'll close it there, but I appreciate you coming by. We've been talking with Udi Sella, Vice President of Client Solutions at Numerix, talking about some of the challenges that corporate treasurers face in the area of foreign exchange and hedging their foreign exchange exposures, and kind of what are some of the challenges today and in the market environment in which we're in, and the strategies to meet those challenges. Thanks for watching.
Thank you very much.